voting. President Senate Bill 1932, having received the constitutional majority, is hereby declared passed. Representative Ammons, for words do you seek recognition?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Point of personal privilege.
Please proceed, Representative.
It is with great disappointment that I stand in this chamber being denied the right to speak to the devastation that has impacted our community for generations. I grew up in the city of Joliet, where Stateville Prison is located, and have watched generations of black men be locked up for the possession of drugs in this country. I listened to my colleague Tapeti lay out very clearly the intentional destruction of black communities across this country, but specifically in the state of Illinois. And I stand here today having been denied the right to speak on the most important legislation that will impact our communities in my lifetime. And I am offended by that denial. Our community has suffered untold harm and many devastations that we cannot just wipe over because we need revenue in the state of Illinois. I agree with my colleagues on the right and the left that this legislation will have unintended consequences. Will those consequences remedy the 40 to 50 years of drug devastation that has destroyed the communities of East St. Louis, Danville, Joliet, the south and west sides of Chicago? For generations, we have had to wait for our emancipation. For generations, we've been denied access to jobs and education and training and opportunity. For generations, our children have looked at us as if we have not done our due diligence. And today, the very denial of my right to stand before this body and express the harm and devastation that we've experienced, this law will not legalize drugs for our communities. This legislation will still see devastation on the behalf of those who are stopped by the police as a result. We are calling for an international declaration for the renewal of people of African descent in this state from this day forward. We deserve justice and access to justice in every single way. We are calling on this governor to make sure that he not only enforces equality and justice as it pertains to this legislation, but everything that goes forward. It is not good enough that we simply expunge records for those of low-level marijuana possession. That is not good enough. That young black men and women have to walk around and be saddled with the results of this legislation going forward. We know that the people who are going to benefit from this are already benefiting. They're already benefiting economically. We know that black communities from the top to the bottom of this state are struggling economically, and this does nothing to solve that problem. And so I call on my colleagues to look at this issue as a justice issue and not a revenue one. We understand that the state is strapped for cash, but it is certainly not because black communities have stolen those dollars. We have been denied equal justice under the law, and we have been stopped at 3 to 4 times higher rates than any other community. And we call on justice today for our communities, and this measure must be looked at as simply a beginning and not an end. We will not stop fighting for our communities from this day forward, and we call on the Democratic Party of Illinois to stand with us to bring justice and equality to our communities in every single area of life. I refuse to vote on a bill that would not allow me to speak to it. And I hope that people of Illinois will do better for the communities who are suffering. Do not make them victims. Do not make them victims of our legislation. I want to acknowledge the profound need for justice for us, the untold suffering and evils that our people have suffered in this country, from slavery to emancipation to post-Jim Crow era to drug laws and to the drug war. We have suffered, and we demand better from this institution. I hope that we are not doing the wrong thing by our community. I thank my colleague, Representative Petty, for putting on record the true reality of how we've gotten to this point. And I thank him for being a voice for us. I thank all of my new members who stood on this issue. I do appreciate all the work that has been done to get us to this point, but I don't believe we've done all that we can do to bring about justice and equity. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to speak today. And thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you.
Members, we have an announcement. Due to the volume of workload, the House will be in session at least through Sunday, June 2nd. Today, the House intends to adjourn at a reasonable hour. Please note that per diems are not available beyond May 31st. Please plan accordingly. Mr. Clerk, committee announcements.
The following committees will be meeting immediately. Agriculture and Conservation will meet in room 115. Appropriations Human Services in D1. Cities and Villages in room 413. Labor and Commerce in room 114. Revenue and Finance in room 122. Judiciary Criminal in C1. The Executive Committee in room 118.
The House will recess to the call of the chair.